And folks, join me in welcoming our leadoff guest this evening. Welcome Casie Maxwell, Baylor Equestrian head coach. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. I'm great.
Good. This is the most prepared I've ever been going into a coach's show.
I love it.
And you know why?
Why?
You do know why. So we peek behind the curtain. We taped a podcast, a Sick'em podcast with Casie earlier, about an hour, 2 hours ago, and covered all kinds of ground that we don't have time to get into here. So you're going to have to listen to the podcast, watch it when it comes out.
Yeah.
But in preparation for that, thanks to Madeline Allen, I feel very prepared to talk to you here.
It was a great warm-up. I appreciate it.
For both of us,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That was good. All right, we will be a little more focused
Okay.
in this tonight, like Oklahoma State coming in on Saturday.
TCU.
TCU.
We came off
Take
Oklahoma
two.
State.
TCU coming
yes.
in on Saturday.
Yes, both really tough opponents. Last home meet, senior day. I know we'll talk about that, I'm sure. 16 seniors to recognize. Big meet to finish at home.
That's a big one. They're number two.
Number two.
Ranked number 2 right now?
Yes.
Good. And senior day and go gold. How about that?
Yes, they're excited about that.
Yeah. What does that do for the team? The gold out.
The Go Gold, I don't know that it really changes anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely think they get excited to all wear the colors, you
Yeah.
know. Even, the ones that aren't competing. We don't have gold uniforms for everyone. It's just not the norm for the sport. But our horsemanship squad, I'm sure, will be in gold. And anyone who's, on the sidelines will be in their gold apparel, too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pride with that.
That's great. And senior night, senior day, you got a bunch of seniors. You got 16 seniors this year.
We do. It's kind of surreal. We got a couple lumped in there, too, that are graduating a year early, a couple of fifth years thrown in there. It makes that class really, really big. But coming off of 5-person senior class last year,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. You're graduating out a third of your team. So it's a big one.
This is this the biggest senior class you've had?
No, we had a class of 21.
Wow.
It's been 4 or 5 years ago. We had a
Okay.
really large class back then, and then we, during COVID, we've been trying to kind of equal out these classes again, and we got
Right.
back to that point, but now we've got these ones staying for fifth years and stuff. So we're still kind of in that place where it's not a consistent rotation.
Gotcha.
Now,
So 16 seniors, as a coach, you got to like that. I mean, that's a lot of experience.
yeah, there's a lot of experience. There's a lot of really good veteran experience in and out of the arena, a lot of really good leadership, a lot of really good young women. So just really enjoyed my time with them.
Very good. Give us a snapshot of how your spring season is going so far.
Yeah, started with a win against South Dakota, close margin loss on the road against Fresno State, ranked in the top. I think they were number 6 when we played them. Tough loss against Oklahoma State. I mean, it's been tough. Every opponent we played has been so tough. So we have a huge opportunity in front of us this weekend. Our reality is we have the potential for 5 more meets in front of us, and in the regular season. Play TCU this weekend. We go on the road. We play South Dakota and Minnesota Crookston next weekend, so 2 huge road opportunities. And then we go to the conference championship, which still counts in our regular season. You win the first day, you play the second day, so the potential for 5 more competitive opportunities in front of us.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it really seems like a tougher schedule than normal. Is it?
It is. It's been an incredibly hard schedule. Fall, we started 2 conference opponents on the road. I mean, it just was really, really a tough schedule. And the reality is everybody's just really good.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to soften the schedule at all. Everybody's really, really good, and we've lost some really, really close ones. So, I mean, we're right there. We're right there.
Yeah. What is in your sport, in equestrian, what's the home court, home arena advantage that you can have?
Yeah, I mean, I think 2 huge things. One kind of goes together. Having your whole team behind you. We don't travel the whole team on the road, so the feeling of support of having like your whole team, but your department, your community, with you too, and just truly, kind of like you have in the home stadium, home arena, having that home atmosphere is huge. Our team actually absolutely feels that. And I think the second thing for us is there's some pros to riding your home horses. We don't travel the horses during the regular season. There's pros and cons to that. You know them too well, but you know them well too, and so it's kind of their choice what they choose to do with that and how they choose to handle that. But there is some advantage to that you're riding your home equipment.
That makes sense.
So.
But it is still a draw for which horse
Absolutely.
you ride, right?
Absolutely. Random draw done the morning of, so you really can't prep. I can't prep this student athlete on this horse all
Right.
week. What we do know as coaches when we host a meet is we'll narrow it down to the 5 or 6 horses we're going to use in competition. So we'll be able to narrow the pool a little
there you
bit. But it's still completely random. They have to be prepared to draw any of those.
Gotcha.
on competition day.
And we'll remind people, when you go on the road, the horses don't travel with you. You ride the horses at whoever is hosting their horses.
Correct.
Do you get that question a lot? Do the horses travel?
We do, especially when we fly. People are like, "Where's your horses?" I'm like, they're not under the plane, I promise.
Coming through the airport.
We do get that question a lot because it's atypical in the sport as a whole. I mean, you're used to, in the real world, you're competing on your own horse. They travel with you and stuff. So it's been adopted in the format, you know, as part of what we do.
Good. And what's the term you used? Equipment?
Live equipment.
Live equipment.
Live equipment. That's our new term. J-Mo.
That's it. You don't call them horses. You call them live equipment.
I do call them horses, but I mean, we have to. They are equipment for us. I mean, they're animals, and you know, to us, we get extremely close to them. I mean, for us, it's like, you know, you having a dog, and you know, growing extremely close to it. I mean, in our sport, we have a huge level of respect for them, and going to take care of them mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things that they need. But the reality is, they're our equipment, and if we don't have them, if they're not performing well, if we're not taking care of them, we don't play.
Yeah,
so
that's
it
true.
is the reality.
So you've got that live equipment. I've never asked you this before. Are there difference in the saddles? Or are they all pretty much the same?
No, that's a great question. So obviously there's a difference in the jumping seat saddles
Sure.
and the Western saddles and what those look like. We try to keep a variety of each in our tack rooms.
Okay.
And that's mostly because, I mean, we have our preference, right? All of our athletes have their preference. We have deals and sponsor deals, you know, with different vendors and whatnot. But we can't control what we ride in on the road, just like we can't control the horse we're on. The visiting team provides not only the horses, but the tack that goes on them. And so we need our athletes not to be comfortable in just one makeup, if you will. We need them to be ready and willing to get on any type of equipment and work with it.
Yeah.
And so having some versatility in our tack rooms is helpful to us.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Continuing with Casie Maxwell, Baylor Equestrian head coach, home versus TCU this Saturday at noon at the Willis Family Equestrian Center. One thing we did talk about on the podcast, we'll dip into that a little bit, is your home facility. It is really good, isn't it?
It is. It's great. It's special. Very, very blessed. Love the proximity to campus. Love the space and, you know, what our horses have. And so, yeah, we're very blessed.
And I ask you this also, I don't see the other facilities where you go. This one, how does this one compare?
We're definitely in the top. We're definitely in the top level of facilities, you know, throughout the country. I'd say we have everything, absolutely have everything we need. We're one of the very few that is so close to campus that makes it so great for our student athletes, but also has space and room for our horses. We have the largest covered arena in the country.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Probably our biggest, competitor in terms of facilities, Texas A&M, they have both of theirs covered. So, you know, that would be the dream, right? But ours is the largest, and so that allows us some flexibility to do a lot of things with it. Incredibly blessed. Really, I mean, we have everything we need. Anything from here is an upgrade.
Yeah.
So.
Did you set out to make sure it was the largest covered arena when it was built?
It was built when I came here, so that is props to Coach Ellen White and them putting that all together. But I think really well thought, specifically for our jumping seat side. It allows us to set both the flat and the fences at the same time, and not. That's just a lot of takedown and setup and things like that. It just takes a lot of time. So it's got a lot of flexibility there. And then, like, you know, if it's raining, we can split it in half and be able to run two events at the same time. So we have a lot of flexibility with it.
That's a plus.
It's great.
That's a real plus. It's like, you know, some places like, well, how big is their arena? Okay, well, we're going to make it one seat bigger, so we can say we're the biggest. But I didn't realize ours was the biggest in the country. One indoor, one covered, one outdoor. Your dream would be to have the one outdoors covered, right?
Yeah, you know, our biggest hardship is rain.
Yeah.
And so actually this Saturday will be our first competition this spring that we're using two arenas because we've been rained out of it for the last two. Now we got to use it all fall, so I'm definitely not complaining. But yeah, I mean, that's our biggest hardship is if it rains, we sit and wait for it to dry.
Yeah.
So I said somebody should be creative and make a arena tarp like they have for baseball.
Oh, good
and
idea.
Stuff. Someone needs to do that. I need to do that and patent it, but I haven't yet.
Yes.
So because that would help us a lot. But that's our biggest hardship.
That'd be a big tarp, but maybe it's
very
possible.
big tarp. You need a lot of weight to move it, I'm sure. So
So when there is rain, when there is weather, and you can't can't use the outdoor arena, you've just kind of got to double up under the cupboard.
You do. So from a practice standpoint, like some of the events, when we practice, we can run 2 at the same time, split the arena in half. Some of them, like the fences, they need the majority of the arena. They go by themselves, or the reining that I coach. And so just kind of depends. It changes our practice schedule a little bit, lengthens our day a little bit. That's probably the biggest hardship is from a practice standpoint. From a competition standpoint, adds about 2 hours onto our day, so that's a little difficult. Pro of the whole situation is we love watching everybody compete.
Yeah,
so,
that's
I mean,
a
my
plus.
athletes won't complain at all if we're competing all inside because they truly love getting to watch everyone from competitor number 1 go into competitor number 20 and never missing a beat of it. So they honestly love competing all in one arena, but we try to make it fan friendly, and it doesn't need to be 5 hours for fans. So we
kind of lengthens the day.
Trim it down
a little bit. All right, for someone listening or watching or someone here, and they say, I just don't know anything about equestrian. I don't know. I want to support them, but I wouldn't know what to watch or what I was watching.
Sure.
What would you say to someone like that?
Come on out. It's free to the public. Our parents are great educators. So sit in the stands with the parents. Their student athletes are great educators. Anyone who's there, you're going to be able to ask a question to, and they're going to be able to tell you what's going on, or at least their opinion of what's going on, which is great. I think you'll learn a lot while you're out there. There's great things built into our script, and whatnot. So there's information out there and available, but it's different. It's different than the industry even and what we grew up doing. So there's a learning curve that comes not just with the sport as a whole, but the collegiate model of the sport. And so, kind of getting there and seeing, what it looks like, what it means at the collegiate level. It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
So.
And it at times gets a little rowdy, which is good. That's fun.
We love the athletic environment component of it because that's not true to the sport as a whole.
Yeah,
it's more like a golf pin drop kind of sport. In tennis, when you're out there, it's like, be quiet, you're going to scare the horses. We acclimate our horses to the chaos in the college athletic environment, so we love it. It gets extremely rowdy. You see it in the regular season. You see it even more as you get into postseason and you get into that tournament setting and you're starting to eliminate teams, and whatnot. So we love that side of it.
That's good. Now, there's an appropriate time to be rowdy.
Correct.
And an appropriate time to maybe not be so
Correct.
rowdy, right? But again, that's where you just kind of go by, follow the lead of the
Follow the crowd.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
back to that live equipment comment. We can terrify them too, and we try
really?
not to terrify them. We don't want to scare them when they're competing. They're pretty, immune to it. We try to, we stimulate that in practice and things like that, so the horses are used to it. But the reality is, they can still spook at their own shadows, and the person standing in the corner or the person cheering too loud. And we try to prevent some of that stuff so it doesn't take away from the riders.
Gotcha. Good.
Competitive ride.
And you have, you told me 50 horses?
50 horses.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a normal number for you in a normal season?
Yeah, we stay right in there. Usually we stay somewhere between 48 to 55. So, so 50 is great.
Okay. And so what's the day-to-day take care of the live equipment? What's that look like?
Absolutely. Full-time barn crew. Our barn manager actually lives on the property. Peace of mind to us to make sure. I always say horses don't get sick unless it's Saturday or 3 in the morning.
Right.
Like that, or Christmas. Like that's when they try to pull something. So he's there, to manage anything emergent, if you will. And then he's got a crew of part-time workers who work for him. So they're responsible for like the feeding, cleaning stalls, general maintenance of the facility, and general care of the horses. And so, they're covered 365 days a year from, their general routine. And then, the things they need from a competitive standpoint, there's a lot of that our student athletes are pouring into them. So, on a day-to-day basis when they're coming out and they're practicing, there's additional care and responsibilities that go into the horses and go into taking care of their equipment. That's normal in the sport. Post practice, they're rehabbed. They get different treatments done to them. They get linen-minted, just like athletes do. And so we take care of them the same. And so that really falls on the student athletes.
Wow, interesting. How many of your student athletes come with their own live equipment? Like they've had horses and they bring them here?
Correct. Yeah, that's a great question. A handful here or there. Every year is a little bit different. We have quite a few that if they're done competing on their horse, they may donate them to the program or they may lease them to the program during their 4-year time here, which is great. I mean, they know exactly what we need, so they know if their horse is going to kind of fit the bill for that. Yeah. We're still going to do a trial period for them, but they know if their horse is going to be, competitive enough, tolerant enough to have a different rider on it all the time and whatnot. So it's great for us. I think the larger majority of our donations come from current or former athletes who they know will take care of them. The current athletes coming in, they're going to be here with them for 4 years, so they kind of get to live alongside of them, which is pretty cool.
That's neat. Pretty good life here, huh, for a horse?
I I'd like to think so. I mean, in the real world, they're hauled down the highway, every weekend, every other weekend. They're moved all over. They get to stay here.
Yeah.
Almost every day of the year. They get to have 60-plus girls love on them every single day. I mean, I wouldn't complain. I don't think most of them do, but we try to treat them really well, too. They work hard for us.
Continue with Coach Casie Maxwell, Baylor Equestrian head coach. 8th year here at Baylor, and thank you for being with us tonight. Big meet coming up Saturday at noon against TCU at the Willis Family Equestrian Center. Questions from the audience. You
Perfect.
ready?
I'm ready.
Sometimes I don't let you look at them ahead of time, or the coach look at them ahead of time, but we did. We went through these, and you'll be able to handle these flawlessly.
You won't surprise me.
No surprises. Roy is right here front and center. Roy asked, and this is a very good question, what are the ages of your horses, and are there any age limits, either young or old?
No, that's great. We have our youngest one right now is 8. Been with us since he was a 4-year-old, so we have taken him a little bit younger than that. But our youngest one right now is 8. Our oldest one is 25.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of on the higher end. Honestly, like a great age range for us to take them in as a lease or donation, as we say, kind of in their teenage years, like somewhere between like 10 and 15 is great for us. It's great for like their timeline in terms of performing, but their longevity on how long they can be in this completely depends on when they started as a baby and how hard they've been ridden. I mean, just like us, like how hard they've competed their whole life. And so some of them, if they're maintained well and they're not ridden too hard in their younger years, like the 25-year-old is still going strong. Sound as can be, great. Honestly, still tries to buck riders off. Like, he's got a great personality. We love him. So, we just kind of gauge their end time with us as to, it's based on their soundness, their mentality. Do they still love what they're doing? I mean, some of them, when you retire them from this, they get really unhappy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they kind of get depressed. Like, you've been doing this your whole life. And so some of them really love the job. But some of them are looking forward to retirement in the pasture too. So we just kind of have to read that. Our goal is always to retire them while they still have life in front of them, whether they can go, just be a lesson horse or be a pasture, mate to someone else, or something like we don't ever want to hit their end. That's never the goal. And so we've got to kind of gauge their timeline for them.
Great. Very good. That's great. Good question, Roy.
Thank you, Roy.
Here's a question from Michelle. Where's Michelle? Michelle.
Right over there.
All right there. And Michelle asked, what are the horse's favorite treats post-event?
That's great. That's a great question. Honestly, we've got some picky ones. We have everything from bananas and traditional like horse cookies to peppermints, chachitos. Like our girls will trial and error the snacks that they prefer from their student athlete fueling room and kind of see what they like. If it's a Nutri-Grain bar, a beef stick, there's some weird things that get fed to them. Traditional horse treats are like peppermints and like a horse cookie, so they'll never turn away from those ones.
Yeah.
But we have some specifics they like too.
Gotcha. Traditional, I would think apples or carrots?
Yeah,
yes or
that
no?
is traditional. I
Not
think
really?
In our world, a lot of peppermints. They
Okay.
like to hear the wrapper
High on the
undo.
peppermints.
They like to hear it come down the aisle and chew on those. So we have some, they kind of joke. They're like, you can't ride them until you give them a treat. It's a bad habit. It's like training a toddler. Like, no. So
That's great.
it's great. They
Very
deserve
good.
it.
Good. Michelle, good question. Thank you. Here's a question from Audrey. Where's Audrey? Audrey, okay. She asked, how's the chemistry of this team?
Excellent. I have zero complaints. I wouldn't ask anything more of them. Team cohesion, team dynamic this year is just absolutely incredible. I couldn't ask any more of it as a coach. Just really great young women, just mature, having hard conversations, doing all the things they need to do, going through the ups and downs. They're just awesome.
Nice. Very
So-
good. Okay, similar question, follow-up. Bob Barrett asked the question, how does this team rank this year compared to previous years, and what's really good about this year's team chemistry?
Yeah, that is a tough question because every year's different. Every year's so different. I think what's special about this group is their dynamic and their work ethic. Like, this is just a group that's going to work incredibly hard, and they're just resilient. Like, they've been knocked down this year statistically, so it's been a tough year for them in that space. But they know how talented they are. They believe in themselves and each other. They keep bouncing back. I mean, I can't ask any more of them. So it's just such a special group, and it's a group that honestly, like, it's been hard on my heart because this group deserves to do well so bad from what they've poured into it, to each other, to their talents, and so you want it so bad for them. it's been no lack of trying, nothing like that. But, they've been great. I've loved this week. Madeline's actually pulled our seniors and done like some senior spotlights and stuff, and like just kind of reading back about what's been special to them, how they want to be remembered. Like I just think like it just speaks volumes to like what this team is made up of. So it's been pretty fun to kind of like look at their reflection too.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
And especially with so many seniors, 16 seniors that you'll that you'll recognize on Senior Day this week. Don't you want them to go out on an upbeat? You want them to go out, with a really good season.
You do. You try really hard. They're already putting so much pressure on themselves. These athletes, like in the classroom, in life, in athletics, they're putting so much pressure on themselves. We don't need to put pressure on them. So you don't ever want to tell them, like, this is your last time at home or this is your last ride. They're already doing that. Yeah. But, we do try to come at them from the standpoint of, like, enjoy it. Like, take a moment on Saturday and, like, look around. Like, this is your last time competing in this arena. Like, that's pretty cool. It's pretty special. Try to depressurize yourself from that situation. And so we've talked a lot about that since the last meet, that the reality is all this is like the last, right? The last home meet, the last travel meet, the last conference meet. They know all those things. But we're like, just let's take a moment and, like, just enjoy that, especially you seniors, because it just goes fast. That's
good advice. All right, Gail has a couple of questions. Gail, here we go.
Gail's got good ones because she's there living it with us.
and Casie said, Gail always has good questions. So here's a couple of them. In Western events, do riders have to use the reins in one hand only, or are they permitted to use two hands? Any restrictions there?
Great question. So it is determined by the homeschool coach. We get like a horse cheat sheet, if you will, and it says if the horse is one-handed or two-handed. So both riders have to ride it the same. They don't get a choice when they go in. That's part of like leveling the playing field. And so you'll see a lot of them. In the reining, you see more of them come in and go two-handed. In the horsemanship, you see more of them go in and go one-handed. Obviously, on the jumping seat side, they all ride two-handed just because of the kind of bridle that they're in. But that's part of that horse cheat sheet. So, like, your rider doesn't get a choice in that and trying to one-up the other one. That's one of those things they all have to do the same.
Good. Very good question. Yeah. Thank you, Gail. Here's another one. Why do some riders take their feet out of the stirrups in some events? Is that required?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the flat and in the horsemanship, you'll see them take their feet out of the stirrups and potentially put them back in. They may start their test without it and then add their stirrups. They may go the whole test without stirrups. It's all written in their test. It's all part of that. That's just like it tells them if they're going to trot in, if they're going to do a circle. It's written in there when they can and cannot have their stirrups. So same for all of them. It's part of their test. They're faulted if they have stirrups at the wrong time or do not have them at the wrong time. So, but you won't see them drop in this format. You won't see them drop in the fences or in the reining. There's consequences for that if that happens because they've essentially just lost the stirrup. They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to be without it in those two events.
Very good. Great questions. Thank you very much. Have we all learned more about horsemanship and about equestrian tonight? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so this Saturday, noon. TCU. Need a big crowd out there. That'd be great. Yeah. It's a busy weekend, but this fits right in kind of with everything else that's going on Saturday.
And we're in two arenas, so we won't take your whole afternoon. Yeah. So we start at noon. We should be done in between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. So we'll have events going in both our indoor and our outdoor. So a great schedule. There'll always be something happening to kind of bounce back and forth. So love to have people come for the whole time, or if nothing else, just stop by.
On a nice warm day on Saturday, I think.
It's going to be beautiful.
Warm, not hot,
We're so
that's
excited.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Hope you have great support.
Thank you.
Go Gold on Saturday as well, noon versus TCU, and senior recognition. Will that be pre-match or after?
Immediately following.
Following,
yes.
Okay. So stay for that.
Yes.
Great group of seniors. Hope we send them out in style. Thanks for being with us this evening. Good luck Saturday.
Appreciate it.
Casie Maxwell, Baylor Equestrian coach, hosting TCU in a Go Gold match on Saturday at noon at the Willis Family Equestrian Center.